Hey y'all, my name is Leva, and today I want to share a little bit about my parents' immigration story. I'm doing this as the part of the Connection Keeps Hope Alive event put together by Americans for Immigrant Justice. This event is a part of the 10 Days of Connection initiative, and the purpose behind it is for us to promote empathy and connectivity by sharing our immigrant stories and promoting and protecting immigrant rights. So I was the first one in my family born in the United States, meaning that all of my siblings, alongside my parents and everyone else, was born in Nicaragua. My parents actually passed away when I was very, very young. My dad died when I was 9 years old, and my mother passed away when I was 14. And it left me with a lot of questions about their immigration story because it's one that we really don't discuss as a family. Right now, my family has a lot of mixed statuses. Some of us are citizens, others are residents, others are still undocumented, and some of us are still in stages of limbo where we don't know where we belong, but we're in the part of the country and we feel American ourselves. So I ended up putting myself in a little bit of discomfort today, and I called up one of my aunts in Nicaragua, my tia Ana Celia, to ask her about this because this is something we just don't talk about amongst my siblings. And talking to her today really gave me a sense of joy, pride, and belonging to my parents. I actually feel a lot closer to them after having had that conversation. So it turns out that my parents came in 1988 due to the civic unrest that was happening at Nicaragua in the time between the Sandinistas and a couple of guerrillas. So my parents actually decided to move to the United States to immigrate here in order to provide for my family in Nicaragua and ultimately have a better life for themselves, the American dream. On their journey, they decided to stay in Guatemala for about a month and a half because things didn't seem right. And my mom and dad both thought that they were not safe to just cross into Mexico and then cross into the US. During that month and a half, my mother actually became friends with almost every single woman in the place that they were staying, with the people who were selling food, with merchants that were selling in the markets. And simultaneously, my father became friends with a lot of the men that were actually coyotes, who were transferring people and moving them from Guatemala to Mexico and ultimately crossing El Rio Grande to come into the United States. During that time, both of them learned the ways of survival. My mom was able to learn from many people in the markets, learning prices, understanding trade, and my father was able to learn various routes to come into the US, to the point that they crossed themselves over when they had made enough money that allowed them to get on a Greyhound and come all the way to Miami and made Miami their forever home. And then 2 years later, I was born. And during that time, my mother decided that it was time for them to go back to Nicaragua in order to bring all of my siblings that were over there. And my aunt, my tia Ana Celia, that I was on the phone with, actually helped them on that journey. So they did the same route, they followed it, they stayed in Guatemala, they had stayed in contact with every single coyote, merchant, restaurateur that they had met those years when they were waiting to cross over themselves, and made some money and made the cross again. Now, of course, there were dangers along the way, especially since they were with kids. They were with 5 kids at the time. But they were able to do it successfully because of my mom's social skills and my father's excellent, according to my aunt, excellent understanding of routes, of distance, of space. And just knowing that they had the resiliency, the tenacity, and that they persisted, to come to this country, to give the kids a better chance, to give their future children like me and my little sister a better chance, and to have access to hopefully achieve the American dream gives me such pride. And it gives me such an honor to continue to live my life in their honor and in their legacy, and to be able to share their story and allow them to continue living in my mind and in the mind of now everyone who's watching this video. And so, as a part of the 10 Days of Connection, I hope to hear all of y'all's stories. Please share your immigrant stories. Tag Americans for Immigrant Justice. Share your stories in the comments. Share it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you want, YouTube. The more the merrier. And just get your voices out there.